Welcome to In This Season podcast, where we unpack the most empowering conversations, have exclusive and inspirational interviews, and host special events. Join Tammy, some call her Butterfly, and explore life's purpose by learning how to embrace each season of your life with confidence, strength, and purpose. Whether you're blooming in the spring, or shining in the summer, or embracing change in the fall, or gracefully hibernating in the winter, get ready to be inspired. Join us right here on this season of In This Season podcast with your host, the Butterfly. It's time, no matter what season it is.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, beautiful people. Let's see who's already in with us. Auntie Richetta from the ATL says, good morning, Butterfly and nephew. I think nephew is coming, so we'll hold that for him. Latasha says, hi. How's it going? All the way from ATL, Big Mike. Oh, wow. Family popping in this morning. Good morning, everyone. Big Mike says, y'all welcome to Daily Motivation for African American Success, where we've been journaling now 269 days through this book. I hate to show my book because y'all was so bad. Somebody gonna bless me with a real book, because I got, as my granddaughter says, somebody tried to sneak me with this one. It is very hard to read. My words are so light. And the book, I thought I was buying a new book, but oh well, somebody's gonna bless me with one. I'm claiming it. All right, so y'all, good morning. Go ahead and feed those ducks. Life wearing you, or you wearing life. The pimping wearing you, or you wearing the pimping. Good morning. Feed those ducks. All right, so daily motivations for African American success. Why are we here? What is it about? What are we doing? All right. Let me know if you feeding the ducks this morning, or are the ducks feeding you? There is nephew, Auntie Richella. There is nephew. Brandon, you better feed the ducks so we can jump on in. Come on. Feed them. Feed them. Come on.
I just woke up. I'm feeding them.
You ain't feed the ducks this morning, Brandon.
I ain't feeding yet. How you doing?
Nah, they feed you.
Man, I just got done with prayer.
How you doing? Good. How's it going for you?
Good. It's going real good.
Good. I'm doing good.
Yeah, welcome. Look at us both in our black.
Good. I came home and ate. Yeah. This is the best I could do this morning. I was just grabbing. So I've been catching up on sleep. And I came home yesterday after working a very long shift. Thanks to Brandon. Brandon helped me do some setup yesterday and got out there. You see the hair is rain affected.
Proof.
It went poof. Yeah.
I said rain proof. I wasn't going to say poof.
Oh, no. It ain't proof. It ain't rain proof. Y'all know when you go natural, everything happens when the weather goes natural, right? Oh, my hair was a mess, still is. But y'all, it's all right because I'm here. I don't care. But anyway, welcome, Brandon. Do what you do. Let's get this barbecue
Sounds good.
started.
Welcome, everybody. I got to get my coffee. Hopefully mine comes soon, too. It look good over there. I can almost smell it.
So good. Yeah, it's coffee. Y'all, so every now and then I go back to the instant. And, and I don't do instant. But this morning was one of them kind of mornings I had to do instant. It's so good. So I don't know. I just have to keep. It's good. I don't know. Listen, it's not the grind and all that.
Did you put your collagen in there?
I did, and I'll do the second cup.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll do the second.
Well, while y'all get your coffee made, your first or your second cup, welcome to the In This Season podcast. I am your co-host. That is your lovely host over there, my mother, the butterfly. Thank y'all for joining us this morning in the season podcast. Oh yeah, she got some good sleep last night.
Yeah, I done caught up, y'all. I was delirious Saturday. I didn't tell y'all Saturday. I was so after
No, I
talking to
remember.
once. Yeah, I think after talking to a coworker, she says, "Tammy, you were fatigued. That's just like I couldn't even drive home. I just left work and went in the early and got in the car and I slept. I couldn't. I was just like, I'm not gonna drive home. I'm just gonna sleep. But my dad's been here, and so I've been pulling. I just been pulling it hard. I've been getting up, making feed, cooking, making breakfast every morning, going to bed late because we stay up and we talk. And y'all, my dad listened to the first show yesterday. And he said to me as he was preparing to leave that he said, I'm going to get a new phone so I can start listening every day. My dad has a flip phone, y'all. So Brandon was like, well, we should get him one and and make it work for him. But my dad still has a flip phone, does nothing, right? But he listened. But yeah, so I Saturday I was no Friday. It was Friday, Brandon, not Saturday.
Was it for? Yeah, it was. It was.
Friday that I left and I was intending to just leave and come home, but I slept in the car for about an hour and a half. That's how tired I was, to the point where I just felt not human. That's how tired I was. I just didn't feel human. I felt like I could not pick up an ant. And I slept. And I slept. Brandon called doing that process, and I could tell that he could tell something because he was like, "Mom, are you okay?" And I didn't want to tell him that I was sleeping in the car because then, I knew I was gonna get it. So it's like I would have told him if he would have told me. I was like, "You what? Go home." But I just like, "No, I'm okay." He was like, "Mom, you sure?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm good."
Yeah, I was like, nah, something's up.
And y'all, I hung up the phone and went right back to sleep. And finally, I drove. I ain't gonna tell y'all what happened, but I drove. I did finally just wake up, but I should have stayed asleep. I should have stayed asleep right there. It wasn't time for me to get up and leave, but y'all
Oh,
don't do that.
wow.
But
Don't
I'm
do that.
good.
Y'all catch up on your sleep. Hopefully, all of y'all are up on your sleep right now. If not, we won't keep you long. We'll let you get back to some rest on this beautiful Sunday. But welcome again, y'all, as you sip your coffee. And thank you for letting us be a part of your day. So, we are reading through Daily Motivations for African American Success by Dennis Kimbro. There's the book. Make sure that y'all get the book. If you don't have the book, there's no reason to not have it. There's no reason by this point. Shout out to the day ones, the people that are always here that do have the book. But if you're dropping in and dropping out, the least you could do is go ahead and get the book. Even if you can't attend every one of these shows, buy the book. And that way you can carry the book wherever you are. As we read through it, feel free to jump back in. We would love to have you. Please like and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you are attending via Facebook. So thank y'all. Daily Motivations for African American Success will help you focus on the thoughts, attitudes, and deeds that will lead to the achievement of your true goals. And 365 short, powerful motivations, one for each day of the year. Dennis Kimbro, author of the popular Think and Grow Rich, A Black Choice, leads us to discover how to use the present moment and our own gifts to transcend labels, cultivate a positive attitude, become wise enough to know when to say yes and when to say no, and to look inward for answers to life's challenges. Each motivation begins with words of wisdom from such distinguished and celebrated African Americans as Malcolm X, Marion Wright Elderman, Whoopi Goldberg, Charlene Hunter Galt, Bill Cosby, Carl Rowan, Mother Hale, Reverend Leon Sullivan, and hundreds of others. This treasure trove of practical inspiration will give you fresh encouragement every day of the year, but what it teaches you will last you a lifetime. And my mom, you always like me to read this. If there's any power that can reverse the fortunes of race, it's character, writes Dennis Kimbro. Every thought which enters our mind, every word we utter, every deed we perform, makes its impression on the innermost fiber of our being. So that's
Amen.
why we're here today. That's what we're here to learn. And we're here to grow as people, grow as community members, as family members. So let's make sure that we take this, I won't say seriously, but let's take it to heart at least, right? And make sure that we're sharing this good news and these good insights with others. So we read through a passage, give you some of our insights or what we see in it, ask you guys some questions, see what y'all have to say about it, and we'll get y'all on out of here. So over to you, Mom.
I have a question this morning that I want to put out.
While you do that, Mom, I'm going to grab my little charger real quick, but
Okay.
I'm listening.
Okay, that's fine. So, y'all, okay, how do you deal with, or how do you, what's your opinion? How do you do it? How do you deal with people who, I'm trying to put this the right way. Okay, so the word says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but the spiritual warfare, right? How do you suggest we deal with people in those moments that that's what you're dealing with? When you see that, because I do believe you get to a place where, like Miss Earlene, my spiritual mom here, has just poured into me. And one of the things that she has said to me is that you just try to remember people or think about them where they got stuck, right? And sometimes that comes forward. But how do you deal with people when they're in the midst of being, I don't quite know how to put that, but y'all, I think y'all get it. Like, do we deal with people, or do we just let them be without saying, without calling them out in a graceful way, with grace, mercy, and favor? Do we just let people keep doing that's a good one, doing what they do, right? Do we let them continue to be used by that spiritual warfare, right? Or do we say, hey, and we've kind of talked about this, so I want to know, I need some help on this. Like, is there someone in your life that you just continue to bump heads with, right? And you love them, right? But it's rough. Like, how do you deal with those people in your life? Do you have a person like that, or people in your life? Do you tend to seek after them more, whether it's their approval or any kind of stuff like that? Like, how do you deal with those people? How do you deal with the difficult people? Maybe that's a way in your life. So you could put the answer out there now, or you could just send it to me, however you want to do it. But I want to know that.
I think I'll give you my answer offline, and I'll let everybody else kind of put it in. But you and I can talk about it a little bit more offline, because I'll start and I'll be on here till 8 o'clock on that subject.
Yeah.
But no, great question. Great question. Any answers in the comments, y'all let us know. Feel free to put them there. But ready to get on, Mom?
No answers.
Or you want to wait and see?
No. We'll grab those at the end if anyone feels the need to put one out there. And if you don't, you can send it to me personally. My phone number is out there, and I'll give it at the end. But no, I want to know that.
Good question, though. Good question. Let's see. So on today, our title is Teach Your Children Well. Teach your children well. And Alexander Crummell, the minister and Pan-Africanist, gives us our quote for today. And he said, strive to make something of yourselves, then strive to make the most of yourselves. Strive to make something of yourselves, then strive to make the most of yourselves. Anyone who has raised a child knows times of intense frustration. I remember hearing an angry father shout at his 12-year-old son, "Why don't you grow up?" After a short pause, while fighting back tears, the boy replied, "That's what I'm trying to do." Raising children is like pouring concrete. Before concrete can be laid, a solid base must be prepared. Once the concrete is poured, The mixture must be shaped and molded before it sets. Once it sets, change is possible only after you have removed what has already been laid down. If done properly, a well-poured footing will last a lifetime. If done incorrectly, the surface crumbles, the structure cracks, and the walls and floors shift. The analogy is obvious. The following thoughts express the influence that parents exert on their children. If a child lives with criticism, he learns to condemn. If a child lives with fear, he learns to hate. If a child lives with pity, he learns to feel sorry for himself. If a child lives with praise, he learns to be appreciative. If a child lives with acceptance, he learns to love. If a child lives with honesty, he learns truth. If a child lives with sincerity, he learns to have faith. And if a child lives with love, he learns that the world is a wonderful place in which to live. Children are fast learners. Let's be patient and teach them well. And our affirmation for today is, today I will spend time with a child or children. I will instruct them on the true values of life. Again, today I will spend time with a child or children, and I will instruct them on the true values of life. So teach your children well, Mom. So being the one who's already raised a full-grown man now, over to you, Mom. And I think you're on mute.
Woo! Well, you guys, Brandon, this is a tough one. I like it. I agree with it. I'm a little. So the quote, strive to make something of yourselves, then strive to make the most of yourselves. I'm taking that as, because I think that the better we are as parents, because I feel like that's one thing that I didn't do. Like, I didn't make sure that I was okay. I said, okay, all that I have to give now needs to be given to Brandon, right? But on this side of it, I believe that children needs to see you
Right.
in the best version of yourself. And then I believe when you are the best version of yourself, then you can do these things. If a child lives with criticism, right? We don't want that. Now, I don't feel that the criticism was a part of mine with Brandon. Because although I think I did all of the positive things, like I gave up Tammy, right? Or at least that's what I felt I was doing. But I should have been pouring into Tammy so that Brandon could see me, right? And then duplicate some of the things that I had for myself, the love, right? For myself, not having a pity party for myself, not feeling sorry for myself in difficult times and situations. Um, so this one's interesting. Although, you guys, there is nothing greater, because on this side, especially being a grandma, there is nothing, I'll say nothing more important than making sure at the best I can that they feel valued, understood, protected, free to grow, free to make mistakes, right? I was talking about Zolly more so yesterday because of a young lady, a young girl, 14 years old, that came over. She was Brandon, right next to our tent. And for some reason, she just kind of gravitated over and kind of hung out. And at the end, I told her mom, I said, you know what? I would take this one home and keep her. Like, she was the most beautiful spirited young lady, 14 years old. And I told her, I said, I don't say that often about these, this age children. But she was, y'all. She was she was everything that you would want your 14-year-old to be. And you can tell it wasn't a front. We had meaningful conversations about some of the things that she's going through as a 14-year-old. Brandon, she has a goat. She has chickens. She does gardening. And I was like, you're doing something that 14-year-olds usually don't do. She told me that she quit the dance team that she had been dancing for 7 years. And I said, why? And she said, I just didn't like the crowd. I didn't like what the crowd was becoming.
Mm,
And so she said, I chose the things that bring me joy. And that stopped bringing me joy. So I quit it. And I'm like, whoa, you know. So she plays the flute. She just does, she just does things, and she seems to be in her own little world, meaning she's creating herself, right? And she's out working with her mom, making money. Her mom hired her to come out and sell things with her. And so when we pour into children, y'all, when we pour into ourselves, because oftentimes I believe parents will, again, going back to yourself, strive to make something of yourself, then strive to make the most of yourself. And when you do that, you are a happier person. You are a free person. You're not parenting from the guilt, right? From fear, right? And there's truth, right? If a child lives with honesty, how often do we try to keep things away from our kids because we don't want them to know or be hurt, right? No, we should share and then be able to explain. I remember talking to a lady who was traveling, and we ended up in the same little spot because I was having a meeting there, and she was at her hotel, but she was having like dinner down at the table, and she was telling me about her husband. She and her husband were together but not together, and they stayed in the same house to kind of compensate the young man, the young boy. And the little boy finally just told him, told them, y'all think I didn't know or didn't see you, how you were acting again, with one another? Do you think I'm so stupid that I didn't notice that my parents were not together? And he wanted them to just divorce and be done with it. But so often we say for the kids, right? What else do we do for the sake of the kids that is not good for the sake of the kids? Right? And so this one, if we would make sure, number one, that we make something of ourselves and strive to make the most of ourselves, and then pour the best version out of ourselves into our children without trying to get them to grow up. I love the analogy of the concrete, and you can about vision this young man's face. That's what I'm trying to do. He didn't say dad, but that's what I'm trying to do, dad. So often we think that these young babies should be able to do what we have not learned to do at our own age, at our grown age. We want them to be in control of their emotions rather than talking to them about the emotion that they're experiencing right then. We want them to grow up. How do they grow up? How are they 4, 5, 6, 7, and you want them to act like they're 27, 30? But what if they were able to tell us to grow up? Grow up. You've lost control of your emotions, mom, dad. Grow up. And I'll grow up. Because they are sponges. They are sponges. And I turned it over to you, Brandon. I was talking about Zolly. And I think, Brandon, you and I had this conversation. It's hard to even get mad at Zolly because she laughs like when you she told me, I said, "Kid Zolly," because I was, that's my way of getting on her. She's like, "Grandma." And you can't even, it's hard to just stay mad at her, right? To be mad at her, to stay in the moment. She just lives life like whatever. And she'll laugh, like she'll know you're serious. And she's just like, "Grandma," and laughs, right? So the babies are important, you guys. Let's let them be babies. Let's pour the concrete, right? Let's take it up and pour it again, because they are learning through those stages. Recently, I looked at the picture that I sent you, Brandon. I think I shared it on Facebook too, of the police officer. The little boy looked to be about 4 or 5, I don't know. And he was having just a temper tantrum. Something was going on. And he was laying on the floor. And the police officer just got right down beside him and laid right there with him. Just laid right there and let him have a moment, right? And it appeared to work or to calm him down. We don't know what's going on in their little minds. Remember the story where the mother grabbed the little boy and took him out to the store for Christmas shopping, and she didn't understand why he wasn't enjoying it. And then she got down in his face and was, Brandon, I don't know if you were here that day, but she got down in his face and she was kind of scorning him about, not enjoying this. But she looked up and she saw this big world from his perspective, right? All these people, everything going around, and it was just too much, she thought, for him. But she didn't see it until she got down from and looked up from where he was. She's dragging him through. These people are everywhere. And sometimes they feel just like we feel when we don't. Sometimes they don't want to be bothered either, right? The kids, when they are sleepy, they are different people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like they are different people. How are we when we're tired? The other day, I couldn't hardly function, and I'm an adult. So kids are people too. Kids are people too. And they go through things that if we are intentional, they can grow through things. They can start right where they are at 4, 5, 6, at a baby. They can grow through things, just as we're talking about us, right? They can too. It's up to us. It's up to us to create that space for them and to be an adult, to show them that we've grown up. Why don't you grow up? The father says after a short pause, while fighting back tears. The boy replied, "That's what I'm trying to do." And so I'm gonna end it here and say, that's your child sometimes says, "That's what I'm trying to do, Mom. That's what I'm trying to do, Dad." Over to you, Dad.
Dad of two.
Dad of two.
Says, strive to make something of yourself, then strive to make the most of yourselves. And what I get from that quote from the minister and Pan-Africanist is that strive to make something of yourself first, like you said, Mom, pour into you. And then once you've poured into you, you can make the most of yourself by being an even more of an example to others. Like, know that now you're not just doing it for you. You're pouring into you also for the example that you provide. So I think it goes two ways. I think in order to get out of or to succeed, we have to have that determination of I've got to do this. I've got to make something of myself. But once you've made that, then make the most of that situation, spread it around. And what my wife says is the best thing that you can give to this world is another human being with a pure heart. Like, you can give a human being, raise a human being with a pure heart. Raise someone that's a good person who's gonna leave something good to this earth, make the world a better place. Since they've been alive in it, the world is better because they lived, right? And the only way to really do that isn't through instructing someone, right? It's not through instructing. It's through being an example and letting them see how you have constructed yourself. And I think, the analogy of using the cement or the concrete is great because it's so malleable, right? It's so many things that come together to make concrete. But once it's poured and once it dries, it becomes hard. You can't move it as much. You can't, if you've made impressions inside of the concrete preempted or not, or just, prematurely, right? Then that depression can stay in that concrete until the concrete breaks until the end of the life of that concrete. And children are pretty much the same. They're sponges, but know that that sponge hardens, right? That sponge, it's not a sponge that just keeps, squeezing every time. As they get older, that sponge takes in just a little bit less. And the impressions that you've made on the innermost fiber, right, of their being stays there, or it becomes the trauma, it becomes the PTSD, it becomes the baseline and the bar for which their whole life is measured on. So make sure that you set the bar high, but make sure that you have realistic expectations and you leave room for them to be themselves. Because one thing that I've realized in raising children is they come here as themselves.
Yeah.
They really come here with their full personality. Now, what we do impacts that, right? So they have a nature, and the way we nurture or don't nurture impacts that side of it. So I would consider it, 60-40 split, 60% nature and a 40% nurture. That's why you can have two people that have, the same mother and same father, but have two completely different trajectories. If they're, let's say, twins, and one's raised in a loving family and the other's raised in a not so loving family, they're the way that they filter the world, information, people, how they see themselves will be different based on the affirmations that they received or lack thereof, or based on the examples that they were around and they could reference, or lack thereof. So make sure, don't just be careful about what you say to your children. Like that 14-year-old girl, be careful about who you let your children around. What customs they normalize. If you want your child to be healthy, in all honesty, be careful with what they eat, and then the people that are around them. If they don't have the best eating habits, say, hey, my child doesn't eat this. Don't let them get used to uh, eating things that are not good for them. I'll say this, like, I love chocolate chip cookies, y'all, but I can go and eat a fresh baked chocolate chip cookie, and my children will not even ask for it. They just don't even know to really ask for that because they just see it as that's what daddy eats all the time. But now some crackers, some grapes, some cucumber, some carrots, they gonna tear that up, right? Now, don't get me wrong. Especially my son, he loves sweet stuff. He loves it. I mean, every time he blinks, if you say, oh, Tupac, you got some nice eyes. He's like, I got nice eyes. So does that mean I get a treat?
Yes.
That mean I get a treat? You know what I mean? I'm like, man, you woke up. Did you have a good sleep last night? He's like, yeah, I slept good. Does that mean I get a treat? Is that a treat? Like, he could probably hear me in his room right now saying the word treat, and he's probably salivating, his mouth watering.
But Brandon, you know what's interesting? That so I gotta stop you here because you guys are doing a great job when it comes to that. Even though yes, Tupac, he is. So I get a treat, Grandma, I get a treat.
He
But
came here as himself.
he knows that it doesn't come. If he's going to get a cookie, it's going to be one cookie. He knows that he's not going to be able to indulge in whatever
Right.
that treat is, that he only gets one. And Dolly, like, and I've shared this with you all, I she goes to the store with me quite a bit, and she will say, no, Grandma, that's not good for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because and it was something that I thought would be on y'all's list, and she was like, no, that's not good for us, Grandma. And so she shows me what her mom allows them to eat and buy in the grocery store, down to the honey. One day we were in Costco. She's like, Grandma, that's not the good honey. I'll show it to you. And so we're walking around, and this little 5-year-old finds me the honey that her mom buys. And she's remembered it by the picture. She's looking for the picture on the jar of the honey that her mom buys. And so there's been plenty of things, down to the cereal. I've had her tell
Yeah.
me one day, because you guys changed the cereal
Mm-hmm.
because of something you found out. And I had that same cereal here because, they were having it. And she's like, no, Grandma, we can no longer eat that because something goes on. I was like, oh, wow. So, they are sponges. And if we train them in the way that they should go, even with their spiritual life, right? Spiritual world, which is first, then they will be okay. They
Right.
will. They're going to do what they do. Life's going to pop on them as well. But we can prepare them. Like Brandon said, if you want your children to live a healthy life when it comes to their eating and things like that, if you start now, like, yeah, they're gonna grow up and eat. They're gonna eat some treats, and but that's up to them. But you've instilled something in them about their bodies, right? How
Right.
they what they put in it matters, right? And the same with love, and the same with the other things that is listed here. So, Brandon, I wanted to just stop there and just give kudos out to you and Sella, because those kids, they know that they can not just have, and I'll do this, might have missed it a time or two, but I will call if they ask, Grandma, can we have a treat or something? I'll say, I'll check with your mom and dad, and if they say yes, you can. Why? Two things is, it lets them know that I'm not going to do something that their parents wouldn't do, right? And I'll
Right.
say, your mom and dad said yes, so y'all can have cookies. Also, they could have had some sweets earlier.
Right.
Sel and Brandon forgot to tell me, and now they got more than they need, right? So it lets them know that I'm not doing one thing over here and your parents are doing another, that we're in sync, right? If you can't eat it at home, you can't eat it here, right? So it shows them that we're working together and for the better of them, and that we all want the same great things for them. So I love this one because I've always loved children. I've always felt like we treat children like they're not human, and just like they don't matter. Like their little feelings don't matter, but they matter even the more because they're being molded. And what I don't want Zali and Tupac to do is grow up with masking their pain like I did. Like the reason it has taken me so long to get where I am, because I started so late. I masked so much pain, didn't talk about it. No one talked about it, right? We don't talk about it. We don't sit down and have those conversations like I had with the young lady yesterday. I mean, it was a blessing. It was a blessing. And so my one desire is that I'll never forget her and she'll never forget me. That one encounter, I learned a lot about her. It was a breath of fresh air. Like I would love one day for somebody to have that conversation with Zali when she's 14-year-old young girl and be like, wow, that little girl is going somewhere, meaning internally, that she's going to be free. She's going to dance to her own music. So back over to you, Brandon.
Thanks, Mom. You said a couple things that reminded me that sometimes we try to raise children as to be better than us, right? Like, no, you can't do it. Do as I say, not as I do. But that's not how they learn. We learn through imitation. So if you have a culture of diabetes, I'm not saying a predisposition, because it's really how much it's our diet, right? If you have a culture of what you eat giving you diabetes, then your children will gain that culture because they're going to eat what they saw you eat. They will see that as that's what adults do, right? So they're just waiting as kids to become adults so they can do what you did. That's why, I see a lot of people after high school that didn't have any children. I mean, they have now, but didn't have any children. A couple years later, they were fat as a house, in all honesty. And holding them accountable for that, that's what their children will see, that this is what is normal. If you look at the statistics for why the majority of people die in America, most of them are health related. And know that your physical health leads over into your mental health, your emotional health, your spiritual health, right? So as children, they're very instinctual, right? They're very instinctual. They have these great pure spirits as well, but they're instinctual. They want to fill their stomachs. They want to touch. They want to see. They want to learn. They want to experience. They want to kind of, I won't say indulge, but they want to immerse themselves into whatever it is, into life in general. So be careful what medium you put them in. If they're sponges, don't put them in bad water, or they will soak up bad water. If they're sponges, don't put them in acid. Don't put them in something that is going to clog the pores of their sponge and stunt their growth. Right. Another thing that I've experienced, and to kind of piggyback on this book, is notice the exchange that happens when you put something in. Right. What are you getting out of them? What is it that you really want out of them? When your child is having a temper tantrum, are you aware enough to understand that they don't understand their own emotions? They don't understand them. They're feeling them purely. They don't have the filter and the context and the experience and all these different examples that you do, right? And sometimes we can hold children to an adult standard that is, and I think that's overbearing, right? Children are children. What I think it says in the Bible, don't feed babies meat, right? Like it's like giving a baby meat, like your baby in faith. You don't give a baby meat, basically. I know I'm completely messing that one up, but you don't feed a baby a piece of beef, an infant. Their stomachs can't process it. So in the same way, you cannot instruct, you cannot chastise, you cannot ridicule a child in the same way that you would an adult, not even with the same techniques, because you're taking an assumption that they understand what they're experiencing right now, when in reality, they are looking to you to contextualize their emotions. They're looking to you as the guardian to define what this is and put it into some type of, like I said, put it in some type of context that they can understand and relate it to other things that they've experienced. And the best person to do that is a parent, because they've been there through all those other experiences to relate that to help the child relate those two. So in my own parenting, my children are teaching me how to be a good father, as much as I'm teaching them how to be good children, right? They're teaching me how to be a good father, because you're never ready for this. For people who don't have children, you can never prepare enough for this. All you can do, bless you, all you can do is be the best person that you can be. Prepare yourself to be the best yourself, because the children are going to challenge you, right? They're going to stretch you. They're going to push your patience, right? But you have to think about the bigger picture. And the bigger picture is the fact that this is a creation of God, who God has lent to you, has given to you as a provision to you. So what you do with it is very important, not just for them, but for your own soul. And I think sometimes, and I know that I was doing this at first, I was holding my children to a standard of, why did you do that to her? Because they bicker sometimes and fight each other, but the vast majority of the time, they play so well together. But I had to understand, and since I've been doing this in the last, I don't know, a couple weeks, months, I've seen a great change in how the children problem solve and critically think. So when my children bicker and argue, I will try to explain. I'll try to figure out what happened, like why they're arguing. Then I'll explain to them, like, hey, you're supposed to be, loving to your brother. You're supposed to share to your sister, this, that, and the third. And then yesterday I did a reverse psychology thing. So we had put these batteries inside of there's a little piano that they had, and it had run out of batteries, and we hadn't put any back in for a while. And so they had been asking all day, if we're doing this, after this, can we put batteries in the piano, right? I had heard them talking to my wife about it. And so she went to the grocery store. Oh no, she was about to go to the grocery store. And my son, after coming from outside, said, okay, now can we put batteries in the piano? And so we were like, yeah, there was some corrosion on the battery, so I had to wipe it out, clean it out. Of course, my son wants to see that. He wants to know why the batteries are corroded, what's going on. And long story short, I get the batteries in. At first it didn't work, but I kind of did a little, uh, you know, a little blowing and hitting and doing stuff to make sure it works. And so it worked. And before I let them play with it, they were both very, very excited, right? And I said, okay, who's going to be the most noble person? Who is going to be the one that lets the other person go first? Right? Because they have this thing in their head of, I want to go first. I want to go first. Me, 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 me. I said, who's going to be the person? Who's going to be the good person? And I say the good Muslim. Who's going to be the good Muslim that lets the other person go first? And my son said, me, I want to be the first person. And I said, okay, you want to be the first person to let somebody else go? He said, yes. And then so I said, okay, Kitsali, well, Tupac is letting you go. He's the noble. He's the noble one. He goes, what does noble mean, Daddy? Right? And so now I get to teach him a new word. I get to teach him a character trait. I get to teach him, some chivalry in a sense, right? Even with his sister, and to give him this sense of, men are the maintainers of women, the protectors, either one of them could have did it, and we would have spun it in the way that fit best. So if my daughter would have been like me, they're like, you're being a great big sister. You're showing him how to do things. You know what I mean? An example, but give them this positive reinforcement, because we respond really well with positive reinforcement. We react well when we have negative reinforcement, right? So if all of a sudden I say, we're outside and I say, run, 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 that's negative reinforcement, because it's alarming that there might be danger. So in that case, my kids might be like, and they just start running. They start running wherever I'm headed to, right? But if I were to say, and there are times for that, we survive and have adaptations for that. But if I say, hey guys, let's go for a run. Let's go for a run. And my son or my daughter might say, why, Dad? Now in my head, I could be thinking, why are you asking me why? I just said, let's go for a run. You know what I mean? You're not doing as I said. But in actuality, they want to understand the context and why I made that decision. Why we're about to do this. Is there a particular reason that they can save in their head so that they are better prepared next time and they can expect it? Because just like we do as adults, when you're able to plan and expect what happens in your day goes a lot more smooth. It's a lot less stressful. So understand that children are trying to do the very same thing, but in their own way, not in their 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old way, but rather in their own little 2, 3, 4, or whatever age group they are way. So remember, like my mom said, the perspective that they're looking from. If you could be that child, right, and see yourself, are you being right by them? Because just chastising and yelling at them, I know that's the old way. I'm not saying don't spank your kids. I'm not saying that, because I do think that there are times for that. Spare the rod, spoil the child, but don't let that be your go-to. Don't let that be your first resort. It should rather be your last resort. It should rather be your last resort. And I think that we as a people, as a tribe, have been in a state of stress, have been in a state of survival for so long, to where we have been giving commands because it's always been a fire to us. It's always been a fire. It's always been an emergency. We're one step away, one accident away, one this away from the worst emergency, because of our history, our context, our decisions, our generational traumas that or undealt with things on our, and to put the responsibility on us in some regard. But know that children are just trying to figure the world out. So don't spoil it for them. Don't make the world a dark place. Make it a place of opportunity. Make it a place of love. Make it a place of affirmation. Make it a place of correction and critique. But as a father, my goal is to set the boundaries and say, do not cross this boundary. But everything within that boundary, do you, babe. Be you. Show me who you are. I'm here to show you what colors are in the rainbow, not to tell you to pick, that your favorite color has to be green, right? Or that you have to paint with with the color yellow. No, that's up to you. So leave some ability, creativity, individuality available for your children, and don't stifle that creative part of them by dictating to them every single thing that they have done wrong. And give positive reinforcement when they do something right. You should get as excited when they do something right and well from the smallest thing as you are angry or corrective with what they don't do well. Actually, you should probably be more excited than you are angry at the things that they do. More excited for the good than you are angry for the bad. Because remember, it's just like if you were teaching somebody on the job and they're a trainee, right? And how merciful would you be with them? Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we live in a different way, in a different day now, but like if somebody's learning a new job, you understand that there's going to be mistakes. You understand that there's going to be mishaps. There's going to be misappropriations and bad decisions, right? That comes with learning. And I think we are almost corporatizing ourselves and capitalizing ourselves and saying, oh, you're not being the most efficient right now. And you should know this. You should know this. Instead of explaining the context and truly, truly teaching someone, because that's what we're doing. We're raising them and teaching them to be the best human beings that they can. And the best way that they do that is by seeing an example. Why do you think God sent prophets? God could have easily just made a book fall out the sky. He could have written, all the words that we needed as far as guidance inside of stone. Just boom, stone tablets on top of mountains so all humans could see it. He could have written it in the earth, right? But what did he do? He sent prophets in the form of humans. He sent human beings that were given messages and that were examples in the way that they lived, the way that they talked, the way they responded to where people, used to wear the bracelets. What would Jesus do? Because that was an example, right? So the best way that we learn, take it straight from God, is through example. So use the examples that God gave us and try to be more like those examples. Try to be the best of creation that you can be. And that's how you raise the best of creation, by first taking that mantle upon for yourself. So be the best that you can be, as the quote said, make something of yourself, then make the most of yourself. I would change it and say, make the best of yourself, because the most isn't always good. They can be the most horrible, you know what I mean? But make the best of yourself. And your children will do the same. So, or even if they're not yours, the children in your realm and sphere of influence, and you could make all the difference. So, mom, that one conversation that you had with that 14-year-old girl could have made the difference for her. That was a child in your realm, in your sphere of influence, right? So you could have changed it for her. And speaking of that, and I'll end on this. Last night, Mom, I saw Gabby, Miguel's daughter,
Yeah,
at the
really?
fight.
At the fight?
Yeah, yeah. And she asked
Oh,
about you.
oh.
And she will be 16 soon. 16.
Y'all, they grow so fast.
Yeah. She says
Man,
she misses you. So
really? I gotta.
she remembers you. So, and it's been years. That's been 6, 7
The
years.
last time I saw her, maybe she was like 8, and I was helping her with her math. I picked her up to go help her with her math.
Yeah. So 8 years ago. Right. So it happens very quick. And so if it happens so quick, don't minimalize your influence. Don't minimalize the small things that you do. Don't minimalize when you're frustrated. Don't realize that they're going to remember. They might remember that forever. I'm constantly, ceaselessly surprised at how much my daughter remembers every detail. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I told her yesterday, your mom, she's going on a run. She's like, well, like when me, you, and Tupac went on a run around the neighborhood, and mommy was at home cooking curry. I'm serious. She was like, mommy was at home cooking curry, and we
Right.
went around, and the light was flashing, and then Tupac fell, and then you pulled up his pants to see if he was bleeding. I'm like, dang, I thought that was 2 different days, but that was the same day. So it just meant the world to them that I took them for a walk around the neighborhood. You know, I could have easily said, nope, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. And they would have remembered that negative. Right. So just know that to teach your children well, you have to treat yourself well. And the way that you treat yourself well is being a healthy, functionable, um, peaceful, pious, righteous human being. That's what you can do. Be well to yourself, and they should do the same also. That's all I have.
So, Brandon, I'll be really quick. We've kept you guys long. So, you were something you mentioned made me think about Janae.
Mm-hmm.
When she was, we were probably having some kind of meeting or something with with the young girls, and it came up how she felt about God because she didn't quite understand. She was taught, right, about the story where Abraham is asked to sacrifice or to, in her words, to kill his son, right? And she said, what if God, I was always afraid, what if God tells my mom to kill me? And I think it was what you were saying about what we say to kids, what we give to them, how we give it to them, and when, basically, right? Or
Right.
if we are telling them something, are we explaining it to them so that they understand it where they are?
Right.
Because we as an adult, um, without milk now, we've stopped drinking the milk, so to speak. So we understand the full story. But for a child to hear it and then to also hear that this is a great God who loves you and da da da, da, but then they hear the story, but God's told him to kill his son. Can you imagine the disconnect or the confusion that it will bring to a child if we don't explain it right? Even if we, maybe we shouldn't, maybe they shouldn't hear that until a certain time,
Exactly.
right? And so it made me think about her in the sense. It also made me think about Zolly when she was just starting to walk, year old, and we were out walking, and we passed the man who was doing, he had a lawn service and he was mowing the lawn. And she didn't see him as a man. She said, "Look, Grandma, it's a daddy." Her 1-year-old mind, "Look, Grandma, it's a daddy." Because that was her perception of a man mowing a lawn, right? Her daddy. She sees her daddy doing this. So this is a daddy because he's mowing the lawn. So y'all see how they see things, and that it's our responsibility to like this to be the best version of ourselves so that we can embrace those moments. Also, their bedroom. I remember going over and kids are kids. There was stuff everywhere in their bedroom, and I was like, okay, you guys, come on. Let's get this bedroom cleaned up. And I said, when grandma comes over here, she wants this bedroom cleaned up. You help your mom out. You pick up your things, right? And then after if I would go over there, I remember one time going over there and it must not have been clean because they said, wait, grandma, don't go in, don't come in, don't. And they both were back there cleaning the bedroom, right? But they heard me. I didn't fuss about the bedroom not being clean. I said, come on, you guys, let's get the bedroom clean and let's keep it clean for your mom. Help your mom out here, right? And they may not have it perfect all the time, but what was a blessing was that they heard me enough and it meant enough to them to want to clean it before I went back there the next time. Right. And then this is my last one, maybe, because I just thought of another one. Zolly, I remember Tupac having an accident with his clothes. He had an accident. And Zolly cried. She said, I'm not a good big sister, Grandma. I didn't, I should teach him better. So she was taking on the responsibility, like an adult responsibility, because I'm a big sister, that she should teach him, how to go to the bathroom more, right?
Mm.
Think of that. So she's seeing herself as a little adult, maybe not in the word adult, but I'm the big sister, Grandma. Like he should not be wetting his pants because I know this, so he should know it. I should be teaching him. Is what she said. What an adult like comment. And she was burdened by it enough to cry about it. right? But this is the same little girl, and I'll stop here. And y'all, Tupac is Tupac. Y'all may say we talk about Zali a lot. Tupac is the boy. Tupac will tell you what he want and what he don't want. I remember having them out shopping a few weeks ago when I taken them to Five Below. Said you could. That was their first time in there. I said you can pick 2 items. We come out the store. They do their thing. We come out the store. Zali wants to go into another store. Tupac says, "I'm ready to go. I don't want to go in there." And I'm like, wow, it reminded me of, I see couples where the guy is kind of just sticking around, hanging, sitting somewhere while the woman's shopping. And Tupac, I'm ready to go. I don't want to go in there. Right. So he's just direct. He tells you what he wants, doesn't need a lot. Um, and we know that, but Zali, you know, she wants to keep going. She's very giving and loving and just
Energetic.
excited about everything. She, with my dad being here, she comes over here. She comes here and she asked me for some tape. I need some tape, Grandma. I'm like, okay. So I find her some tape. She comes back here and she stays back here for a while. She comes back and she gives my dad like this little book or gift. It's almost like a little box that she's made out of paper. And she has something in it, but she's taped it up to where he has to go down inside and get it. And that's the way she is almost with everybody. If you see her, she's gonna find a way to make you something and give it to you. And I thought about that from Brandon saying, they come how they are. And here we are, because she's so loving and giving, we're trying to make sure that we find a way. And it's sad that we have to do this, you guys, to protect her heart. She wants to hug, love, um, all older people, men especially. She sees him as a grandfather figure.
Hmm.
You
Like
know,
when my great cousin, or my second cousin, I'm sorry, no, third cousin, yeah, my third cousin was here. My grandfather's first cousin uh, was up there, and she was like, "Another granddaddy?
another granddaddy.
Look, there's 3 granddaddies here." I was
Yeah,
like, "Yeah." So she, when we left, she just hugging like,
yeah,
she's known him forever, and I'm like, man, she's such a beautiful little spirit. So we're working on, because everybody because we only introduce her, only have her around good people, right? So she thinks that all people are good,
yeah,
So.
yeah. Brandon, I remember, and we'll get out of here. I remember she with Jimmy's brother, and she just looked at him as a grandfather. And then when I told her, I was like, Zali, because she'll just like to come up and hug and all of that. And I said, Zali, and I called her back and I said, no, baby. And so she cried. She's like, Grandma, I'm so sorry about hugging the grandfather that I don't know.
Mm,
See the mind of it. She said, I'm sorry about, because she just like the daddy. Look, Grandma, it's a daddy. So y'all, let's not, like, we have to help shape them without taking away what God has given them. And I think that's what we so often do. And if we don't have it ourselves, we can't give it to even the children. We'll mess it up. If you're not love, you cannot teach a child how to be love, how to understand love.
right.
So be the most, what you said, no, be the best. Is that what you said, Brandon? You said, because sometimes the most is not great. What did you say about
Right.
that? The quote?
The most isn't always good, because you can
Right.
be the most trifling.
Negative. Right.
Right.
And so much more. So, all right, Brandon, let's get out of here.
All right, y'all. Well, thank y'all for joining us this morning. I hope we gave you some type of takeaway, or there was something that came from this that you can take and use in your life. Go out there and be good to some child in your sphere of influence. So today, our title was "Teach Your Children Well," and Alexander Crummell, the minister and Pan-Africanist, gave us our quote today, and he said, "Strive to make something of yourselves, then strive to make the most of yourselves." And then our affirmation is, today I will spend time with a child or children. I will instruct them on the true values of life. So go out there, grab some a child inside of your sphere of influence that that's related to you, maybe, and just be a good example. You ain't gotta go, do anything extra, but give them. a little bit more grace. Give them a little bit more mercy. Try to see the world through their eyes and see where you can be a positive influence. It may just be that you're the neighbor that says, hey, hope you have a great day. You know, it meant the world to me to come back from school and see the firefighters that would wave and ask us how our day was at school. You know, I'll never forget that. That's why I almost wanted to go to my friend Nora's dad's funeral, because he was one of those firefighters. He passed years ago during COVID. Of course, couldn't because of that whole situation of COVID. But that makes a big difference. So just don't downplay your own influence in the life of a child. They may not have met that many people. You may be a select group of people that they experience. You may be one of their first memories. Make it, and it's going to be a lasting one. So make sure that you are the best that you can be in it. Okay. So take care of yourselves, and we'll teach and raise your children well. Thank y'all so much. We love you. And you got anything else, Mom?
Yeah. I ran into another young lady yesterday, and I just thought about this. Toastmaster, Youth Toastmasters. Has anybody heard of that? So if you want more information, they are looking for children between the age of 13 and 18. It's where they come together and they learn how to do public speaking. It's especially good for those who are shy, because this young lady said, I'm very shy, but it's helped me open up. And I asked her, I said, so I'm going to give you a topic to talk to me about. And I gave her communication, of course. But Youth Toastmasters right here in Memphis. It's free for the babies. They meet on Sundays. So I have the flyer. If you guys want some information, if you know a young kid that may benefit from this, maybe Miguel, Gabby, maybe that'd be good for Gabby. But she doesn't need any help speaking, though. She's very outspoken. And you don't have to need help doing it, but it'd be good to get kids into something like that that's very positive. So I did want to say that. So over to you, Brandon, to close us on out.
All right, y'all. Well, that's all we got. Thank you for spending your morning with us this Sunday morning. I hope you got a cup or two or three of coffee in you. Maybe not that much, but I hope you've enjoyed your time here. Please like, subscribe, and follow our channel so that you can get and turn on those notifications so that you get notified when we go live every morning at 7 a.m. And we will see you tomorrow for day 270 of the In This Season podcast. Y'all take care. Happy Sunday. Peace.
Feed the ducks, you guys. Pimping wearing you, or you wearing the pimping? You feeding the ducks, so the ducks feeding you? Life wearing you, or you wearing life?
The ducks can feed me today. I ain't gonna lie to you. They can feed me. I'm hungry.
They feeding you today?
Yeah, because I'm hungry. I like ducks.
You're hungry in the sense of food? Oh yeah, me too. I haven't had breakfast. I went to bed hungry. Y'all, I cooked cookies and didn't even want to eat them. That's how much I wanted to go back to food. So, but I'm caught up. I'm getting there. All right, y'all be great. Feed those ducks.
Take care. Peace.